Ladies and gentlemen, introducing
Okay, we're on episode 3, and what is the title of that chapter?
Your Body and What's Happening to It.
Okay, do you want to start reading from your body and what's happening to it?
Were you surprised when you began to get ready for school just as summer vacation ended? When you went to your closet to sort out clothes that you thought you'd be able to wear, did you discover that you needed an entirely new wardrobe? Pants too short, blouses or shirts too tight and skimpy, even your socks seemed to hurt your toes? Did the outfit that was fine, quote unquote, only yesterday look like it was made for your little brother or sister?
So have you had any of that happen to you?
Yes, where I thought, I want to wear this shirt with with these pants, or this shirt with this skirt, and then I go and I have the outfit all planned out in my head, and when I go to my closet to grab it and pick it out, then it's not there. Or it's too small.
Too small. Okay. What else do we got?
If you're anywhere between the ages of 9 to 14, which is me, this sudden jump in size, this stretching out, is probably the beginning of a very exciting and wonderful chapter of your life called puberty.
Puberty. That's where we are at. So what else do they have?
Puberty or adolescence is the stage of your development when your body changes from the body of a child into the body of an adult. When the change is finally complete, you will be able to have a child to reproduce. This doesn't happen all at once. In fact, it usually takes several years, and you progress little at a time. This growth spurt, when you seem to shoot up so quickly, is one of the first signs that you are entering puberty.
Okay, so that's where we kind of talked about this the other day. Not even recording, just when your body's going to start to change, growing hair, different smells. Boys, their voice starts to change. Growth spurts occur. Girls start to grow breasts, things like that. So that's what that means, that you are basically at a matured enough level to recreate life, meaning having a baby. Now, that doesn't mean a 9 to 12-year-old should have a baby. It just means that that's what your body is preparing for. What else do we got?
Growing. When? As a rule, girls begin to mature earlier than boys by about 1.5 to 2 years, sometimes as early as the age of 9. This doesn't mean that girls are smarter than boys or better than boys. It just means that there are differences between males and females, and this is one difference that we all have to accept. It is a fact of life. The average girl begins to mature between the ages of 10 and 13, but some start earlier and others start later. A few may reach full maturity by 15, while others will not mature until 18. A boy may begin to mature as early as age 11, but most don't go into puberty until they are between 13 and 15 years of age.
Yeah, so it does happen, and I can remember when I was about your age, there were girls that already had like breasts almost like women, because they were already maturing. You could see that their hips were they were getting a little more curvy. Their butts got a little bigger, things like that. And then meanwhile, me and my friends, we were still just like skinny kids. And that's because the girls were maturing faster. And like the book was saying, it's just a scientific fact that girls mature faster. And that's probably, if I had to guess, because the one that's carrying babies or recreating life, you would need to have that person be maturing physically quicker than the person who's not. So there's nothing like the book said. It doesn't mean one person is better than the other person for it. It just means that we can start to understand our growth. So when you start to look different than some of your friends that you play with that are boys, well, then yeah, that's just because you're maturing faster, and that's not a bad thing. It just means that you're reaching an age, and they'll reach their puberty as well. And the other thing to understand is everybody is unique. They're different. Each person is their own person. So even if you had a twin, you two might have reached puberty in different ways at different times. So each person is unique. So you're always going to reach it differently. So even when you're around your girlfriends and things like that, and they might have a bigger bra than you, or you might have a bigger bra than them, and it's just like, no, we're just our own people. So that's an important part to realize as well.
Most reach their adult size by the time they are 18 and 20. This 2-year growth lag between girls and boys is usually most obvious by the time boys and girls are about 13.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's...
Is this showing the chart?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see. So what we're looking at is growth rates for boys and girls. So it's showing right down here at birth. It's showing this is like when you're a baby and a toddler, age 5. This is about kindergarten. So here's where you're at. And you're seeing that the boys and girls are about the same size. Now, look at this one here at 13. You see...
The girl is taller.
She's taller, and you can see those little bumps in the front where they're not there. So she's starting to get breast. And then here, the boy at age 13, he's a little shorter. At age 15, he's caught up. Yeah, and she's still growing and developing. And you can even see here, they're showing that the boy, he's starting to look a little more manly and developed. So by age 18, now he's taller. And so this is really where they're at about the same. So down here at the bottom, it says birth, boy
slightly taller.
Yep.
At age 5, the boy is still slightly taller. Age 11, the boy and girl are about the same height. At age 15, the boy...
we're skipping...
Oh. Age 13, girl is slightly taller than boy. Age 15, boy starts to catch up. And age 18, boy continues to grow and the girl has stopped.
Yes, and so these are body changes. And then over on this one, you see teenage boys of the same age. And so you're seeing where boys are starting to grow hair on their body, and he's a little bit taller. But these are all boys that are possibly the same age. But you see one guy looks more like a man, where this guy looks a little smaller. Boy. Yeah, but they're all going through puberty. So this is what I mean when I say people mature at different rates. So same thing with the women. This is what I was saying when I say like one girl might have bigger breasts than another, but they're all the same age. But this is just boiled down to some of it is your genetics. So some women are going to get bigger breasts or bigger hips, or some boys are going to be taller and have broader shoulders because that's what their parents gave to them, or their grandparents. So it's not just I'm 15, I should have this size of something. That's not how that works. So everybody's going to mature at their own rate. If you attend an 8th grade graduation ceremony, you will notice that the majority of the girls tower over the boys and appear quite adult. Many have reached their full height by this time. Most of the boys, on the other hand, seem to be little boys. If you could look 3 years ahead and project into the future, you would see that most of the little boys have caught up and passed the girls and are now considerably taller than some of their female friends. Now, when we were at, when you're walking at your school, if you see some of the 8th grade girls versus the 8th grade boys, I've seen some of the girls there, and sometimes I mistake them for teachers because those girls are tall enough to be adults, and they are also developed the same rate that a lot of adult women are. So that means that they've reached their physical maturity. And some of the boys, there's some really tall boys at your school in the 7th and 8th grade, but they're very skinny. They haven't reached out. They haven't filled out. They don't have shoulders yet. They haven't developed a chest. They haven't. Their voice hasn't changed. So while they're tall, like a man might be, they haven't filled out like a man has. So that's the difference in the developmental rate between boys and girls at certain ages. Being tall or short and growing up early or maturing late are areas of great concern to most young people. Certainly, you don't want to be the string bean of the class, which is the skinny one. Neither do you want to be the shrimp, the short one. Let's see. You don't want to be the first to shoot up or the last. You'd prefer to grow at the same rate your friends do and to change at the same rate they do. However, each and every one of you is an individual, which means that you are all different from one another. Each of us is born with a built-in timetable for growth and development. And this timetable varies from person to person. Whatever time you, quote unquote, turn on and start to grow, whether you are early or late, is just fine. You are normal. When we mention figures and statistics, those are merely averages gathered for overall generalizations. If it will help you feel better, remember that after a few years, the extremes levels out and the sexes become more equal. So, just like I was saying, don't sweat it. Basically, that's what it's saying. You're going to get where you need to get in your own time. Don't forget, though, that your heredity has a great deal to do with your size or lack of it. Your parents or grandparents on both sides were short people. It would be realistic for you to expect to be a 6-footer. It would be unrealistic for you to expect to be a 6-footer. You might make it, but that would be a twist of fate, a rare one indeed. Whoops. If you come from a big stock, you can expect to be large. So if your parents are large, that means you would be large. If your parents are tall or a tall-short combination, you will have to trust luck. Above all, this is one time that you have to accept your lot. So basically, if Mom was super short and I was super tall, then you're just going to be like, you don't know. But if Mom and I were both super tall, chances are you're going to be super tall.
But if both you and Mom were super short,
there's probably a chance you're going to be super short. So Mom and I are both average. So there's just a chance you're going to be average in average height. And
wait, the average woman is 5'5"?
Just about, yeah. And the average male is 5'9". I'm a little taller than that.
5'11"?
So, yeah, around there. So it's okay. But that's what happens. As you add inches to your height, you may also add quite a few pounds to your weight. For a while, you may appear to be rather pudgy, but this baby fat will soon disappear and your body will take on the shape you will have as an adult. Girls round out. Waist, nip, and hips broaden. Boys' shoulders become wider. They begin to develop muscles and their hips become narrower. Often, boys and girls concerned and worried about this increase in weight go on a self-imposed diet. Restricting food intake without the supervision of a doctor can be dangerous to health at any time in anyone's life. It can be particularly so during puberty. Therefore, if you feel very unhappy about your weight, consult a physician and follow his or her recommendations regarding your diet. So, yes, you might appear to be pudgy, or like a lot of people are going to say, oh, I feel fat or I look fat. But you have to allow that.
Mom uses the term fluffy.
Well,
is that a real term?
No, and we won't get into terms like that because sometimes those terms don't give you a realistic. Fluffy sound is a nice way of saying things, and that's great. We shouldn't be hard on ourselves, but if we know that we are overweight and we can change how we eat, like they were saying, then we should change how we eat and not just call ourselves something like fluffy. Okay, that's where you need to make the change. Now, during puberty, they're saying don't worry about that because you're still going to go through some changes, but the changes that you can make while you're going through it is eating better. So a lot of these kids are eating things that aren't good for them. There's still a lot of fattening foods, a lot of greasy foods. So remember, what we talk about for kids needing the 5 servings a day. Mm-hmm. So you need the 3 servings of vegetables, 2 of fruit. So if you feel a certain way about your weight, eating a little better is not a wrong thing to do.
Right. And I've heard people say that if you look like a little bit overweight, but your eating is on track, during those years, to not worry about it, because you grow taller and then you grow outward.
Right.
Up, out.
But
up, out.
Exercise and nutrition are still very important through those years. You don't want to take a way out and just say I'm fluffy or I'm fun sized or I'm, party pack. Like, we don't want to assign names to things that are serious, because if you give yourself that mental thought now, if you don't outgrow it later, that'll still just be your reasoning for your size. You see what I'm saying? So at some point you do want to address if you are at a weight that's not healthy, because then that's going to come with some other problems. I'm going to read this last bit, then I'll let you read. During this stage of development, some boys experience a great deal of embarrassment because their breasts increase in size and become sore and tender. They may become alarmed because they associate large breasts with being female, and they are afraid of becoming feminine. They may be teased by others who don't understand that this is a very common occurrence. Actually, if they knew more about their own bodies and why things happen, the teasers would be silent. Okay, and I've seen that happen to boys, and it's kind of unfortunate, but kids don't understand, so I don't want to just say kids can be mean. Kids don't understand. So if you see somebody else going through something, just remember it could happen to you, and we want to treat people, the way we would want to be treated. So let's see, where are we at? I want to see how much more we have. Do we want to go into what's causing the change now, or do we want to bookmark this and do a part 2?
Do a part 2.
Okay, we'll do a part 2. So we will sign out for now. And then, yep, you can do that. Very nice. All right, Dad and daughter.
We can talk about anything.
Thank you, guys, and stay tuned for part 2, and we will continue this interesting and awesome topic on puberty and what causes changes. So we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.